I didn't put like a preview because we are going to burn the midnight oil again. As always, here we are on. Thank you so much. Make sure everything is really busy behind the scenes. Because it's like, let's do this, right? Let's do this. Um, and what do we mean by that is um, getting together our litigation, our it's a lot of work to file a claim. It is a lot of work because, especially in this case, because it's so big. I mean, it's 1,735 days since, um, just since they murdered Richard, right? Uh, and then it's even longer when you think about all the retaliation and everything that happened before the Walmart mass shooting case, because Richard's case starts before the Walmart mass shooting of August 3rd, 2019. So it is a lot to go through, uh, and we've documented. But let's do it, right? Let's do it because look at the support that we have. Look at the support from so many comments, so many likes, so many thumbs up, numerous people contacting us, and the veterans contacting us, and more and more groups contacting us, and of course, being less afraid. But of course, this is connected to the um, cartel that are uh, designated, the worst type of group, and dealing with the likes of Lieutenant General Sean treasonous traitor Bernabe, and everything that, and those people that have profited off of his treason and being a traitor, and siding, serving a foreign and domestic enemy. That's him. That's why he's a traitor. That's why he's treasonous. And I would say that about so many officials in this case, and you see what President Trump is going through with the judges. Um, them trying, they want to be the executive branch, right? Um, they, want to be the State Department. They want to be the President of the United States, but that's not what their role is. That's not what their role is. And um, so, why are they, and they know it. They know it. They're not dumb. So why are they obstructing, obstructing law enforcement? Why are they obstructing that? Because the one thing that President Trump is trying to do is he's trying to enforce the law of the land, right? He's trying to enforce the law of the land, and they are trying to obstruct it. And they could, and I'm not saying everything is perfect. There can be differences of opinion and everything, but that's not what they're doing. That clearly, because Biden never even enforced the law of the land. He absolutely let us be trampled. Literally, he let our land be trampled, and our economics, and our families, and our communities, and just put into chaos. And now we're seeing some law and order, and you have the judicial branch wanting to obstruct justice. Can you believe it? It is, it's just uh, really something. You couldn't make this stuff up. And so when you see all of this, and you know that there is never a perfect time, but I think the stars have aligned, and this is a really, it's been a really good week putting everything together for us um, to make a claim, and then to be contacted today by um, Gloria Guillen, and our heart, my heart especially, but I know speak for our family, because I don't think that really the wider public understands what the Guillen family, what Vanessa Guillen means to us, what they have meant to us from the very beginning. Because when all of this was going on with Richard, my very, very good friend said, "You need to watch the Guillen family. You need to watch them." And I said, "I don't know if my heart can take it because of knowing what happened to her, right? I don't know if my heart can take both knowing what happened to Richard and knowing what happened to Vanessa, and yet the I Am Vanessa uh, came out, and we, I said, okay, I'll watch it. And I'm very glad, because that family, gave us um, the encouragement, the the really how we should go to, because this is before we went to El Paso, how we should conduct our search for Richard, and ask for Texas EquiSearch. Of course, we were denied that. They were given that. We were denied that. And a lot of people said, "Why aren't you asking Texas EquiSearch?" Yeah, we're asking, but we're denied that. Um, because it's the same command. Fort Hood, Fort Cavazos was under the same command. General Garrett, General Xavier Garrett, and I think he's in very, very big trouble, because after hearing from um, Gloria Guillen today, it was very, very clear that she really does not feel that her family got justice for what happened to Vanessa Guillen. She confirmed that, and I've kind of alluded to that over these live streams, these years, but that was confirmed today. Uh, and because there's uh, this command that's up to no good, and they protect. I shouldn't even say protect. They obstruct. They interfere so that they can continue with their criminal activity, and allow criminals to wear our beautiful uniforms with our beautiful stars and stripes, being a senior NCO, or being um, a flag officer, or being a full four-star general. Um, they are allowing criminals to have those positions, and they're allowing criminals to have positions in our judicial system, as you clearly, clearly see. And what do criminals do? Well, they exploit and abuse their power, right? They exploit and abuse their power. And that means they weaponize the tools that we have provided for that position. They weaponize it against the innocent, the whistleblower, the witnesses, the evidence, due process. And they weaponize it in order to cover up for their criminal activities, so that they can continue to do crime. And you see what Judge Sam Medrano is doing, and what James Montoya is doing right now, is just that. These two are full blown criminals, that one is wearing a robe with sitting on a bench, um, and the other is, can I call him a usurper too? He's an imposter. He is absolutely imposter. He did win the election. I guess he won the election for district attorney, and but he failed. He failed to properly install. So he broke his promise to the people that voted for him, before he even installed properly. And what do I mean by that? Because he failed to sign the anti bribe promise to the people. Um, he failed. He failed to do that, and he took the oath anyway, and that made his whole position illegal. Um, and in order when we caught him doing that, he tried to um, cover for himself. He tried to, well, he tampered with official documents. And that's where that 2028 timestamp came from, which was absolutely absurd. Absurd. That's not a timestamp for some time for his next election or anything like that. That's a timestamp for when he sign the statement of officer. Well, that's impossible because that's way out in the future. So he absolutely tampered with official documents. There's no doubt about it. Okay, the evidence confirms that James Montoya tampered with official documents, and that is why, because has no authority, he's just an imposter now because the law requires a certain installation into the district attorneys. And one of that is that he sign an anti-bribe promise, that he promises that he did not get to that position by taking or giving a bribe. And so this is super, super important, and it's required by the Texas Constitution, the beautiful Texas Constitution, and he failed that. And that, absolutely sucked every bit of legitimacy and authority out of him being in that position. And so that means that he had to do, break more promises by taking a plea deal for Patrick Crusius. Whether you agree with it or not, it is a break. He broke the promise that he made during his campaign to bring that case to trial, and to prosecute Patrick Crusius with the death penalty. That was his promise. He broke that, uh, because he had no authority to do it. Because if he sentenced Patrick Crusius to death, right, and that happened, he would be guilty of murder because he has no authority, he has no protection because he's not a real DA. Okay, so once you understand what prevented him from fulfilling his promises, then you're like, okay, why didn't he want to sign the anti-bribe statement of officer? It's called a statement of officer. And and then knowing that that office, the DA's office, has cartel tied individuals working in it, and that he is not telling us straight his relationship, his connection to Jonathan Caleb Ambriz, with also cartel ties, but also ties to Richard's unit, also ties to Fort Bliss, also ties to Danea credit card girl, Katzen Gonzalez Ambriz, his wife, also ties to Leilani Hart, also ties to Dallas Hart, also ties to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. These are all criminals, and she's really so bad, right? Because she fraudulently took money from the Walmart Mass Shooting Victims Fund. Now, who would do that? Who would do that? That would be someone as lower than dirt, someone that would take from the victims fund for themselves, and a lot of money, I think hundreds of thousands of dollars. Fraud, absolutely fraud. So it is, and to have connections with Jonathan Ambriz, to have connections with Montoya, James Montoya 2028 stamp, James 2028 stamp Montoya, which highlights that he tampered with official documents, that he tampered with timestamps, the very foundation of our judicial system, that he has no respect for the judicial system if he's going to tamper with the timestamps, right? So that, maybe, God meant it for a blessing not to have him as a district attorney because he has no ethics. He has no ethics if he is going to tamper with timestamps, which he 100% did. It's not like an accusation, it's not allegedly. No, he absolutely it is. And you know what? We're getting word out of the El Paso courthouse that that's what they're talking about. They're like, what the hell is going on with James 2028 stamp Montoya? Right? Messing with our timestamps, messing with the foundation of the criminal judicial system, which is timestamps. Everything is with timestamps because when did it happen? That is always the big question when trying to solve any crime. When, where, why, how, what, and um, it's all documented through timestamps. When did Patrick Crucius get to the Walmart? How long did he stay in there? What time was it when he was arrested? Everything is with timestamps. And so that's why we know that there's multiple shooters because the timestamps are huge evidence that shows that under 2 minutes, um, shooting at least 90 rounds in order to get 45 hits, including headshot hits, close range hits, moving target hits. And having that kind of skill with that kind of weapon and having to change out the magazine 2 times in less than 2 minutes, and then do it without getting a drop of blood on you, without getting anything on your shoe, without even sweating, without even puking. I mean, it is absolutely impossible. It's impossible. And so there had to be multiple shooters, especially since everything is a lie, that the narrative is a lie. He surrendered twice, he surrendered gently. That means that he could never have been the author of the manifesto because all his actions were the complete opposite of what the manifesto said, right? He surrendered to a Hispanic. He surrendered gently. The manifesto was like, "I will never surrender," and he will fight to the death, and all of this stuff. And but that's not true. He surrendered twice, y'all. It's like, please, please, I'm here, please, all right. Oh, and going to an Hispanic and being so gentle, and them not even bagging his hands for gunshot powder, for gunpowder. They didn't suspect him because he didn't show any signs of what he was saying. He didn't have any puke on him. He didn't have any blood on him. He didn't have any sweat on him. He was, skinny. Someone told me skinny wrists. Plus, he didn't have the mental capacity. He didn't have the mental glove that fit, for the headshots, for that kind of skill level. He didn't have the persona for that. And so they're like, go away. And then he's like, no, but you're supposed to be hate filled. You're supposed to be racist. But you're like, oh, Mr. Hispanic officer, please arrest me. I'm here. I'm here. I did it. You have to believe me. And he's just like, okay, let me put you in the car. He didn't even read him his Miranda rights. He didn't bag his hands for gunpowder. It's clear that nothing matches, nothing fits, and that evidence confirms that there's multiple shooters, right? Yeah, and I haven't even talked about the witnesses that confirm that also. And so Judge Medrano, who's really the being called, it's not me. I didn't make these names. Well, I did make 2028 timestamp, yes, but Joe Spencer is the one that made the open checkbook. He's the one that said that. And if we want to go back to Montoya, he's the one that did the 2028 stamp. And Madrano, he's been called the most corrupt judge in El Paso's history. The most corrupt judge in El Paso history. That's what I've been told. And I think they have a really good argument for that, right? I think they might be really right about that because look at what he did in this circus. And now he is in the media already, right? He's already in the media doing damage control. And what is he doing? He's showing his absolutely broken ethics, right? He's attacking the Fifth Amendment. So that's really the takeaway. There's so many takeaways from his interview, but he was attacking Yvonne Rosales for pleading the fifth. Well, let me tell you, with all the cartel connections and all of this, she had every right to plead the fifth. And that is her constitutional right. And it is another huge foundation of our rights in this country is to not testify against ourselves. And especially when you have a lot of cartel um, ties. I can't even imagine what they said to her, and she absolutely knew who's who. Um, maybe not, but she knew that there was cartel. And so for her to plead the fifth was her right. Absolutely, she could do it all she wanted. That was her right. And now Judge Sam Madrano getting really, I think he broke one of the rules of judicial conduct when he did that. Absolutely. Please tell me, lawyers that are watching. But I mean, uh, it is so egregious what he did because now he is essentially saying that other people that want to plead the fifth need to be scrutinized, right? That need to be scrutinized if they want to apply their legal right into whatever case that they are in and take the fifth. So, and that is such a violation of 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 being a judge, right? He's supposed to uphold our rights. And so he really just showed very clearly that he possibly they're very, very right. I think so. I think they're just about right that he is the most corrupt judge in El Paso history. Think about the millions of dollars that they took from the American taxpayer to put forth for a plea deal, right? Without any evidence. And that's another thing. It's like he took that without any evidence, not even a competency hearing. He didn't even demand the protection of Patrick Crusius as far as a competency hearing from an independent judge. Uh, that is Patrick Crusius's right too, especially when when there is evidence that confirms that he did not understand the proceedings. He didn't understand what he was charged with. He did not understand because even in his application that he signed Patsy, um, eh, you know, uh, that was totally fraud, right? It was totally fraud because he absolutely had expenditures. He absolutely had income. And especially being special needs, he had income. And so, and all this time, Sam Madrano didn't even call in. Uh, Or maybe he did. Maybe he did. But the media should have absolutely went to Bryan Blake Crusius, the brother that was living there in El Paso the entire time, because he married the Mayella daughter, right? The Mayella daughter and the Mayella son was in the Walmart security, cybersecurity, in the DA's office with Jaime Esparza, who Judge Medrano allowed to delay the case by allowing Jaime Esparza to stay on the case for almost 2 years with a conflict of interest. They couldn't do anything. As long as Jaime Esparza was there was a conflict of interest, and that delayed the case for almost 2 years. And Sam Madrano was behind that, right? His golfing buddy that wanted a piece of the action of the open checkbook. Maybe that's what I'm thinking because they are golfing buddies with Joe Spencer, right? The three of them. It would be so interesting to hear what they talk about on the first hole and do they take a mulligan? Um, oh, what do they talk about on the third hole? What do they talk about on the seventh hole? On what do they talk about? Because here they are with this open checkbook, absolutely all three of them major criminals. And why are we putting up with giving major criminals such important positions and letting them take our taxpayer money to pay for their golf? Um, it's just disgusting. And so it really it looks like they're all doing damage control for this circus that they created, which is obviously an operation. It is an operation, and it is connected to Fort Bliss, who the linchpin, I posted that up, is Jonathan Ambriz. Jonathan Ambriz connects the Walmart mass shooting to Richard's case with Danae Katz and his wife, to Fort Bliss, and to the cartel activity, and to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, and to Leilani Hart, and to Dallas Hart, and on to Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, right, with his assistant who does tricks, is up to no good, uh, Kyla Cardona. And yeah, and so we have the truth. It's all coming out, and and I don't want to put for so many names because I can go to the Garretts and the Chavezes, and I can, the Josh Lyon. I can go into their connections, and some of it's heartbreaking. Yeah, some of it's really heartbreaking because some of the people that you think were on your side weren't on your side. They were up to no good. They were absolutely up to no good, and you're like, wow, wow. Um, this really sucks people into it. It sucks people into it and makes them worse people. And that's what God talks about, these stumbling blocks and everything. And the chief people that uh, the generals and the judges and these defense lawyers and these wannabe DAs or assistant DAs. Don't forget that assistant DA James Montoya was working alongside Michael Mayella, uh, Patrick Crusius's brother-in-law, right? He's a brother-in-law. Um, right there during the whole time while he's, Walmart cybersecurity, while he's FBI. Um, and the media did a quid pro quo, covered it all up. So there is, you know, uh, they're doing another cover up too, right? And this is another thing that we're hearing, is about the MAC court. The MAC court is a very, very powerful court, the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, Very, very powerful court because it has full jurisdiction. It also magistrates about over 90% of the cases there in El Paso. And so the individuals that sit on that court need to be elected. They need to be elected as judges. They need to be scrutinized. Their law career needs to be looked at. And the people need to uh, vote who they want to sit on that very powerful court over so many cases, right? And that has been denied them. They have been disenfranchised by Veronica Escobar, who was at the time 2015 when that court received full jurisdiction. Ever since then. So it was Veronica Escobar. Now it's Samaniago. Of course, it is. It is Sam Medrano because he's the one that sits on with the judges to appoint these judges to this court, which is illegal. It's illegal and unlawful. And now they're talking about it because here they are magistrating all of these cases, and everybody. We even wrote the county jail office, the county clerk. We absolutely have been warning them that do not take any orders from these imposters. They are absolutely have no authority. They are botching every case, and you're going to participate with that and be held accountable. So don't do it. Don't do it. Um, and so that is being the message and is getting out there. And so you can see how Trump is being attacked by judges, right? And then now we have an entire court that they call themselves judges, but they have no authority at all. No legal authority under the Texas Constitution, under the Texas Code. Um, none. And they're botching every case. So, who are these people that were appointed, right? And who appointed them? Well, the likes of San Madrano did, the most corrupt judge, not my words, but others, in El Paso, the most corrupt judge in the history of El Paso. Uh, you know, and so are these and they're you can tell by their rulings um what their agenda is. So if El Paso is sick and tired of the crime wave and people getting away with their crimes, because Justin Juarez today, I don't know if you know this, but well, I got the information today. It might have been yesterday, but in the last 24 to 48 hours, six more people were murdered. Justin Juarez. I mean, they are out of control. It is out of control. And it's because the judicial system, the criminal judicial system, is broken. You have no DA. Montoya is just 2028 stamp that needs to come clean about Jonathan Ambriz and Danae Ambriz, the fraudsters. But they're not just fraudsters; they are, you know, West Point, right? They are connected to Fort Bliss. They are connected to business ties. They are business people. They absolutely have uh, all kinds of skills, and they're using it for no good. And um, were in possession of Richard's credit cards after his date of death. So I think Montoya needs to come clean about that. He needs to come clean about his time with Michael Mayella, Patrick Crusius's brother-in-law, there as assistant district attorney under Jaime Esparza. He needs to come clean about being in that office in November, going and being with Bill Hicks when Bill Hicks absolutely had cartel tied individuals managing his DA's office, and he was a usurper. He was a usurper, and he didn't even call him out because he wasn't legitimate either. He didn't want to sign that. What? He didn't. How was he a usurper? Because he also didn't want to sign the anti-bribe statement of officer before he took the oath of office. He did. He didn't. He tampered also. So these are really criminals, and it's really the talk of the judicial system there. We've been right all along. We have the evidence to back this all up. You can look for yourself at the Texas Constitution, get to know it because it's beautiful. You should get it to hang on your wall. Um, and yeah, it's just a beautiful document that gives you rights, and also the Fifth Amendment of our Constitution. Yvonne Rosales needs to have the Fifth Amendment framed and put on her wall. She had every right to exercise her civil rights, her rights as a citizen, and take the fifth. And for Sam Medrano to belittle that, and that means that he's doing that to anybody else. It really sets a terrible, terrible example of it's well. He What do you expect from the most corrupt judge in El Paso history, right? So that is what's going on behind the scenes. A lot of documenting and a lot of preparation for our legal claim. And yeah, so uh, we just ask everyone to help us right now. And when you're helping us, you see that you're helping Gloria Guillen. You're helping Vanessa Guillen's family also. When you're helping us, when you are sharing our information, you're helping them because they're still praying for justice. And it's the same command that was over, the same CID that was over the Vanessa Guillen case, is over Richard Halliday's case. The same corrupt, traitorous, treasonous, um, serving foreign and domestic enemies instead of um, doing their duty to our volunteer sons and daughters. The same over Vanessa again than for Richards. And so when you share, when you talk to people about this, like, whatever you can do to get the word out because, we cannot trust the media. The media is not reporting the vital news stories. They feature Sam Medrano and letting him um, and Joe Spencer, right? That's who they're featuring so that they could do some damage control of their reputation. But their reputation is so low, low, low. I don't think they can ever come out of that hole. Yeah, it's I think it's lower than hell. I think it's so low. I don't think they'll ever be able to get out of that because of the damage that they've done. So. Yeah, so helping us, and I think that I can absolutely I feel like I'm in total um, agreement with Gloria Guillen. We want justice for what happened, the absolutely horrendous crimes done to Vanessa Guillen and to Richard Halliday. And we are praying to God every day for that, every day, because we know that this is so evil that we need God to take care of this, that we have to be, just instruments of His justice, instruments of His peace. And there is no peace without restitution. There's no peace without accountability. There's no peace without justice. There's no righteousness without justice. That is, they're synonymous. And so, we are just saying, not our will, God, thy will be done. And we're working very, very hard and letting God use us to get justice. And he's been very, very faithful. Look at what's going on, and it's so much. The results are so much better than what you ever imagine. Right? The results are so much better than what you ever imagined, because we've got the whole courthouse now talking about how the possibilities of these individuals that are impersonating judges. They could be, should we arrest them? They need to be arrested. Or, what's going to happen with the cases? I mean, you're talking about some women that have been beaten up, and now the perpetrators are going to be let out of prison because these impersonators have no authority, and the case has been botched. So they are really, really in discussion about the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court for the first time in 10 years. In 10 years, they've been doing this. And so this is bigger than what we ever could imagine. And then, of course, with Montoya, the 2028 stamp, that's really um, that might be addressed. It should be, it has to be, right? Because we need a DA. So, that's being talked about. And of course, um, the medical examiner. We have an unqualified illegal alien foreign national as El Paso uh, examiner. That doesn't touch every case because it's the murder cases, right? It's the wrongful death cases. Um, but for El Pasoans, I think $430,000 a year. Plus, he's charging for taking the stand, which should be part of his job, right? But he's charging extra money for that, for expert witness. I think we want someone that's a citizen that meets the qualification as is stated for judges in the Texas Constitution. It is a judicial position, and that's really where the confusion is. People don't understand that the medical examiner is a judicial position, that they judge the cause and manner of death, and that they are expert witnesses in the court of law. And they can absolutely subpoena, uh, they have a lot of power. And so this is why that position, um, is a judicial position. So we'll see. It's, everything is in God's timing. And now is the right time to put in our claims. And lo and behold, um, the support is just pouring in, right? Pouring in. Um, because I think a lot of people have been waiting for this. They've been waiting for justice. Yeah. And we want to thank you so much. And we need to do this for Glendon Oakley Jr., for, of course, our son Richard. Yeah. And for Vanessa Guillen, because we got confirmation today that they don't feel like they got justice for what happened to her. That they're praying every day for justice. And I think that's why her sister is running for office. So this is a big job for all of us, because things have gotten so out of hand that those that we pay to do this, remember from the beginning, they said, you have to investigate, you have to bring us leads, or we can't do anything. Yeah. We knew right from the very, very early on in this case that if we were going to find out what happened to Richard and we were going to get justice for Richard, that we would have to do it. We would have to do it. And that we couldn't count on anybody, that we would have to do it. It was up to us. And so we've had a lot of help. I'm not saying we didn't have help. We've had a lot of help. And I mean, anytime you share and comment and like and love and pray for us, that is gold pieces, gold pieces for us. And so, but we have to, no matter what people said to us, or these evil doers, that tried to manipulate and mislead us and everything, that we would have to do this ourselves and march forward ourselves, under God, with God's help. So thank you so much, everyone. Please share uh, all of that information, and there's so much other information and that you can share from uh, what we've put out there. And yeah, just remind us what you think really needs to be addressed, because it's a lot. It's a lot has happened every day, for over 1,730 days. So thank you so much, Justice for Richard Halliday, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. And thank you, Anicia, for your prayers and your love and your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. Thank you. You're an angel. You're an angel. I'm reminded about that every day. Um,